I'm launching now. Okay. This story begins in about the year 2000, when I lived in America with my family. And as a kid, I was obsessed with anything remote controlled, whether it be planes, cars, hovercrafts, literally anything I could get my hands on. Top of that, I was also really obsessed with trying to go as fast as possible in any way I could think of. Now, jumping forward about 10 years, I'm living in South Africa studying mechatronic engineering at university, and I build my first drone. Ever since then, drones have been a pretty fundamental part of my life, and I've been flying with them and working with them ever since. So about 4 months ago is when I decided I was going to try and break the Guinness World Record for the fastest drone in the world. Little did I know, it would be the hardest, most frustrating project I'd ever taken on in my life, and here is the story of what happened. So I have all the components, which means now comes the fun part, which is putting it all together and actually making a drone. I made my first drone frame for this project by modifying an iFlight frame for the F5X drone, and I basically just chopped off the front and the back where the battery goes and mounted the battery vertically instead. A few hours later, and we have our very first drone. Now this is obviously just a prototype, and that's why it looks super rough, but it has everything we need to fly. Essentially what I'm going to do with this is first the NGS first. I'm going to put the propellers on and test flight in here just to make sure it is fine. And then hopefully tomorrow I'm going to be able to take it out to the field, and I'm going to see what kind of speeds we can get with this thing. And you ready to cut the power? It's still good. The next step was to find a place where I could actually test fly this drone, and I found this really useful map that shows you where. Non-restricted airspaces in France for drones, and I found this place not too far from my house. I've got my phone here on the tripod. As you can see, I am going to launch it from there and then to land it. I'm actually just going to try and drop it in this grass over here so that it doesn't damage anything. Where's speed? So unfortunately, the drone did go down, which is not good. I don't really know what happened. It kind of looked like one motor just cut out. Ah, there it is. So looking back at the footage, we reached a peak of 218 km/h, which is pretty good. But it's nowhere near what we need to break this record. So all there is to do now is rebuild this drone and try again. So we're back here again, and I have version 2 of the drone. It's a bit sleeker, more compact on the frontal area, and a bit more well put together. And hopefully we have no failures this time, because I would really like to get a proper speed test to see what the setup can handle. This time around, we managed to get a top speed of 283 km/h, which is not that bad, considering the record before the current record was 289 km/h. Now there was the small issue of the fact that the motors got so hot that the one melted and it fell out of the sky, but I'll take it as a small victory for now. Yeah, let's go find it. Yeah, it's not great. Let's see if we can find the battery and then move on. By the way, this was totally my fault. The motors are rated for 700 watts, but I was putting about 1,200 watts through them. I think this is a good time in the video to mention what the current Guinness World Record actually is, and as it stands, it's 224 miles per hour, or 360 km/h, and this was achieved by Ryan Laidman with the drone you see here. As you can see, this thing is really sleek and aerodynamic. However, I do believe Ryan was a bit too concerned with making his drone as lightweight as possible. I'm going to follow a different approach and not really think about the weight. I'm just going to go for as powerful as a system as I can possibly fit into a design of this size, and this is how I came up with version 3 of our drone design, which you can see here, and this is basically 2 or more times more powerful in every aspect than our version 2 drone. Hopefully this time we can actually get the drone back to me without it being crashed, and hopefully get some sort of decent speed with this super unaerodynamic setup. Wow. And finally we got a test run for the first time when the drone did not fail mid-air, and we reached a speed of 321 km/h, and I am really happy with this. It's not super far off from the world record, and I think with a bit of tuning and an aerodynamic design, we could beat the current world record. When I came back to land, it was basically impossible because the drone's camera looked straight up vertically and I had a bit of a crash. But it's all good. I've got a really cool idea too. Fix this in the future, and now that we've finalized our components and our frame design, it's time to get on to the really exciting part, which is modeling the body of the drone. And because I am not very good at this, I managed to convince my dad to basically design the entire thing. And he came up with this epic design, and the next step, of course, was to 3D print all these newly designed parts, which was a marathon. And I think in total, I spent about 72 hours of 3D printing. We decided to name our drone after the fastest animal in the world, which is, of course, the peregrine falcon. And because our drone is predominantly green, we decided to call it the peregrine drone. And with everything 3D printed and set up ready to go, this was the really exciting time to put everything together and really see what this drone is capable of. This is one of my favorite parts of the drone. It's basically a server-mounted camera which allows me to switch between flat and vertical so that I whoa and crash while landing. She's ready. You nervous? Yeah. With everything assembled and ready to go, we brought the one out to a field where my friend Darren, who is way better at flying drones than me, helped us tune it and get it dialed in for maximum speed. So I am here at the Worcester Gliding Club, which is about an hour outside of Cape Town, and we going to do the first actual flight with the full setup. That could possibly break the record, so I do not know if it will, but I'm really hoping that today we can do it. Really nervous for the drone to fall out of the sky or fail or something. But there's only one way to find out if we can do it. Okay, coming back, Darren. Oh, okay, we're falling. At least you're close, Luke. Despite my friend Haloni's best efforts to cheer me up. This was definitely the most heartbreaking part of this entire journey. All that time, effort, and money put into this project, and this is the result I got. It was truly the lowest moment, and I really felt like just giving up at this point. What made it even worse was had set up this entire evening as a proper world record attempt, and we had witnesses there. We had briefed them beforehand. Everyone was watching, and it was really embarrassing, to be honest. However, anybody who does engineering projects like this will tell you that this is basically just part of the process. And no matter how much I felt like it, I was never going to give up at this point. On the speed run before it crashed, the drone went into a really weird oscillation, like it was on a roller coaster. So to figure this out, me and my dad decided to hold a body of the drone out the car window to feel the forces on it. So I got these shots using the Insta 360X3 mounted on a windshield, and they were also kind enough to sponsor this video for me. I've actually been using the X3 throughout this video, and it's become one of my favorite filmmaking tools. My favorite thing being the ability to reframe your videos in post. So as you can see by my face, it was really difficult to hold this frame steadily outside the window. And we were only going about 120 km/h, which means that the drone would actually be going 3 times the speed. It made me realize that we really needed to up the gains for the control algorithms on the drone in order for it to maintain stability at those ridiculous speeds. I found it only fair to give the peregrine drone a cinematic rebuild sequence before we attempt to break the world record again. With the drone fully rebuilt, it was finally time to do another world record attempt. Coming into land, I'm launching now. So we redone flying back in the studio, and the peregrine is fully intact in one piece, which is amazing because we managed to get 4 speed runs. And I think of the 9 speed runs I did before this, only 1 or 2 of them were successful. In the fact that I managed to land the drone next to me with no damage to it, so I'm really happy with that result. So now to work out our recorded speed and to see if we actually broke the Guinness World Record. So the way Guinness works out these speed records is they take the average speed over a 100 meters distance, and you got to do that in both directions, and you take the average of both of those runs, and this accounts for wind. Because obviously if you were going downwind, you were going to be faster, and it would only be fair to take that reading. So 100 meters distance might sound like quite a lot, but I think at its peak this drone flew over 110 meters a second, which means it takes less than a second to cross that distance. And of our 4 total runs, the average between the 2 fastest runs was 397 kilometers per hour, which is also 247 miles per hour, and that is well above the current Guinness record. So we do have a new record now. This is really exciting. I don't have the certificate just yet because I'm still waiting on Guinness to verify my documents. But I'm sure I'll get it soon, and of course I'll do an update video on that. What you might be thinking is that we actually didn't get any good footage of this drone flying at really high speeds, and I would have to agree with you because it's so fast, it's so difficult to shoot midair. So I had a pretty cool idea to get shots up at flying midair. That's what I'm going to show you now. The key to getting these shots is using the world's smallest action camera, which just happens to be the Insta 360 Go3. And this camera is so light that I can mount it on the back of my drone without it affecting the stability too much. So I can still get some really high speeds with it on. I really hope you enjoyed this video because it was the longest and hardest video I've ever made in my life. If you want to see more videos like it in the future, then please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.